Hello, everyone. It's been more than a year since I last recorded an episode. I kept thinking of coming back, but I guess I didn't have the motivation to continue as I got busy with other things and there were personal matters which I had to deal with, but I'm back. Today's guest is today's guest is a good friend of mine. She's a spiritual life coach from Mombasa, Kenya. She and I collaborated on Instagram and outside several times in the past. We've hosted webinars and free online mentoring sessions together. I'm so excited to have her on my podcast, and she's none other than Coach Ayla. Have you been?
Hey, so nice to be here. Thank you so much, Sunhouse, for this invitation. It feels good to be back on a podcast.
Oh, really? And you're very welcome.
Thank you.
So, today's topic is today's topic is going to be a very interesting one. Someone actually DM'd me complaining about this problem, and I thought we need to talk about this. So why not do an episode about it? So we're going to address how a lot of people get pressured to get married and why it's so problematic. And I want to hear your thoughts, Ayla. Is this common in your society? And if it is, then what happens to such people after they get married, or what are some of the ways in which they get pressurized?
In Mombasa, this is definitely a big thing. A wedding is like a huge thing to happen in families. Like a woman is celebrated and when it comes to two things here in Mombasa,
Mm-hmm.
getting married and having a child. Anything else, whether she graduated from school, whether she opened her business or started something, those are like nothing. Because even when you try to tell people, hey, I did this, and they'll be like, okay, so when are you getting married now? Okay, yeah, that's great. So when are you having a child? So marriage is definitely a huge thing here in Mombasa. And well, marriage can be a beautiful thing, but not when you're being rushed. And
Exactly.
I noticed a lot of young women, like as soon as she turns like what, 20,
Hmm.
families start to pressure her. Get
Hmm.
married, get married. You don't want to be an old maid. You don't want to waste too much time. You need to have children. They don't even ask the woman, like, is that what you really want?
Hmm.
Because majority of the young girls that I talk to, they don't really want to go into marriage so fast. They still desire to study, but they're so afraid of going against their parents
Hmm.
because going against parents is like sinful and so on. There's also that, cultural aspect. I don't want to say Islamic because there's some things that people see it as a religion thing, but it's not really a religion thing. It's
Hmm.
more of a cultural thing.
Hmm.
And so what happens is they fulfill their parents' wishes, pushing aside their own, because they're so used to like putting their parents and everybody else in front of them that they just forget about their own desires. Then they go ahead and get married. And then that's why I've seen a rise in divorces. Like
Hmm.
if a girl is like getting married at like 21, 22, by 27, she's divorced and she
Hmm.
has like two kids already. It's
Hmm.
because these parents they rush the kids into getting married, whether they arrange them or just force them to a point where they're like, okay, I'm just gonna marry the next thing I see,
Hmm.
and they're not compatible. They're not talking about compatibility. They're not talking about are you mature enough? Are you ready enough to handle marriage? Because marriage might sound good if you're in love. Yeah, if two young people are in love, yeah, it sounds great,
Hmm.
but are you willing to withstand the challenges that come with marriage?
Exactly.
And that's why a lot of divorce cases happen. Like almost, it doesn't even take 10 years anymore. It's like in 2, 3 years, people are getting divorced.
Well,
And so it's really a sad thing. It's such a sad thing that marriage is rushed but not really talked about. If this is something they want, the woman or even the man wants.
Yeah, I could actually say it's pretty much the same in my society, and this is something that's very shameful. Some parents go to extreme lengths just so that their kid, whether son or daughter, can get married. I actually know someone whose parents literally locked her up in her room and they wouldn't let her out unless she gave in and agreed to get married. Her mother also previously hired an imam in inverted commas to do magic on her for the same purpose. And there's another girl who I know whose mother gave her a taweez because she wanted her daughter to get married. My friend's parents were also very difficult with her, and they even gave her a deadline for her to get married. And she really struggled until she met someone whom she thought was, underline the word thought, by the way, whom she thought was a good guy and whatnot. So they ended up getting married, and after some time the guy began showing his true colors, and my friend suffered in unimaginable ways. She kept getting verbally abused by that guy. He cheated on her with multiple women. He was extremely disrespectful towards her, and he even also got violent with her once. And he refused to get a job and was a drug addict. So my friend had to step in and deal with their finances by herself. It was a mess, honestly. I Like you mentioned earlier, I generally don't believe that people who are forced or pressured to get married stay in happy marriages because, I mean, why should they? They might be married to someone who they don't like, or they didn't take the time to learn about their responsibilities within a marriage, heal from unresolved traumas, or take their self-development seriously, which leaves them very unprepared and even unfit after they tie the knot. I would say this becomes especially the case when problems begin to rise or or when there are kids involved. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, that was very scary when you said that the girl got locked up in her room and another one with the deadline. That is really bad. But that's what happens here too. Like I can't say like they force like in that way, but it's more of an emotional manipulation. You know, when the mother would say something like, "If you don't marry this guy, I'm not gonna be happy," you know? And
Yeah.
it's like you feel like shit. I don't have a choice now. I guess I have to make my mom happy because this means so much to her that I marry my cousin. And when parents force the lady to stay in a marriage, like even if she's unhappy, it's only because there's a lot tied to that. Like the parents are actually not even thinking about the girl, they're thinking about themselves. Like
Mm-hmm.
the shame of my getting a divorce or the shame of my son getting a divorce, especially if it's for the second or third time. Then I think parents need to question why has that happened for the second or third time? Because there are a lot of marriages that happen. Like you would think that after the first marriage, someone would learn that this is
Exactly.
not like yeah, this is not what I want, or this is not how I want it to be. But they keep repeating, and it's so fast. Like they get married so fast for the second or third time. They don't even think like, did I do the healing work necessary?
Mm,
People just rush into it the second or third time thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do. I just don't want to do zina, so let me just go ahead and get married. But marriage is so much more than sex.
exactly. And
But
yeah, go on,
I
go on.
I said I digress. I digress.
Oh, no, that's fine. I agree with you, Ayla, and what more people need to understand is that marriage is more than just looking nice for a couple of events and hosting extravagant parties. A couple doesn't live happily ever after in inverted commas after when they get married. Life isn't a fairy tale and no marriage is perfect. Conflicts and disagreements do occur. The honeymoon phase doesn't last forever, and the excitement and infatuation, they eventually slow down. You have to make sacrifices and compromise on some things if you do want to make the marriage work because not everything can go your way. That's just how it is. If people don't want to accept this fact and avoid preparing themselves for a lifelong commitment, for example, they don't want to learn about their responsibilities, the opposite gender psychology, how to manage a home, how to manage finances, etc., then they're up for a very big disappointment and surprise later on. Do you agree?
Absolutely agree. And that just says that people just love the idea of marriage. Actually, they love the idea of a wedding. They love the idea of having the status of Mrs. or Mr. They
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of really being quote unquote respected by their society. They love the idea that, oh, this is going to go well for my political agenda because, we all know how politics work, right? You're only respected if you are a married man or a married woman. So people love the idea of marriage for the benefits that they get, but
Mm,
they don't really think about the long term. Like, this is someone who is your companion. You don't play around with marriage like you play around with relationships. That you can
exactly.
just get, yes, there's so much involved in this. There's two families involved, there are kids involved. And, people just, I think we as a society need to stop glamorizing marriage and start talking about how serious, like, what is marriage really about? And
Exactly.
I wish Yeah, I wish that we would have more elders or people who have lived like 20, 30 years to come and tell us a little bit more. What is it really like? What are your challenges? What
Mm,
have you faced? Let's stop glamorizing something that we don't understand. And then when we go into it, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. You're not the person I thought you were. When in reality, even if marriage is about two people, you're still your own individual.
mm,
And what are you bringing into your marriage?
yeah, and touching upon what you said previously, like it angers me honestly when some parents put society or other people above their kids' mental health and happiness. They won't care about how their child actually feels about marriage or whether the potential would even be compatible with them to them. As long as they can show other people that their son or daughter finally got married and are able to host lavish wedding events, things are good, they're on the right track, and in inverted commas, everyone's happy except for the son or daughter and maybe their partner as well. It's ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You know, touching on this, I remember an incident with my cousin sister.
Mm,
She passed away in 2019, but she was in an abusive marriage. And the
mm,
only reason she went ahead and got married as fast as she did, because I was really surprised, like
mm,
she was getting so many proposals and things like that, but I don't know why she just went ahead with this person so fast. So
mm,
I was pretty surprised when it happened so fast. And she's like, I just wanted to like get out of the house because my dad kept pressuring me and he didn't want me to continue with studies. So I thought, okay, let me just go ahead and get married. I'm gonna be free with my husband. And
mm,
the husband had promised her, like, yeah, I'll take you back to school, I'll let you work. As soon as she got married, he told her, I'm your husband. And if I say no, there's nothing you can do about it.
mm,
It's like boom. And then the abuse came, it started like little by little, you know how it works, yeah? Verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and then finally physical. And then almost like 10, no, 6 years later, she couldn't take it anymore. So she calls up her father and she starts crying and she tells her father, like, I can't do this. I can't be with this man anymore. I want to come back home. Can you believe the father started crying? The father started crying because recently his elder daughter got a divorce. And so it's like he was thinking, oh my God, this is a big headache for me now. Two of my daughters getting a divorce. Rather than thinking, my daughter is not happy. And a few years later, what do you think happened? Of course, she felt guilty. She felt guilty about making her father, feel bad, and she took it upon herself. And I wish she would have left. But unfortunately, he impregnated her and promised her, like, life is going to be good with our third child, blah blah. But he hit her during pregnancy, and the baby died inside her. And then a few days later she also passed away. So this is more of a cautionary tale. Even if your parents are forcing you to stay in a marriage or in a situation you're not happy in, please leave,
exactly.
because no one can help you. Even if your parents cannot help you, or like, just find a way to get out. Go to a shelter if you have to, but find a way to survive. You never have to stay in a situation you don't want to or you feel unhappy. And I think that's the key thing. We need to ask ourselves, how do we feel, rather than how is everyone feeling about my situation, especially us as
Exactly.
women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's another side that I want to bring to your attention, and I want to hear your thoughts about it as well. When someone explains, when someone mentions why people should, when someone mentions why people should, take their time to work on themselves and look for a spouse, etc., they get accused of
Mm.
being anti-marriage or anti-family. Why do you think some people do that? Like throw these labels and accusations at them?
Because I think everyone has this perception like you should think like me. I
Hmm.
would do this, so you need to do this. The way you think is wrong. The way you think, you know, I think human beings sometimes they don't like what's different. They
Yeah.
don't like it when you have your own brain, when
Hmm.
you're able to think and when you're not following what everyone else is so keen on.
Hmm.
Basically, when you decide to be the black sheep and
Hmm.
everyone is one way, it's like, wait a minute, are you even normal? But
Yeah,
you're not anti-marriage, you're speaking the truth.
exactly.
People need themselves, and it's not even a man-woman thing, it's both. Both
Exactly.
need to work themselves. Yes. So if a person is like very resistant about any content to do with working on themselves, that's how you know that yeah, you're still not grown yet, and you think life is supposed to be a certain way. And I think it's a sign of intelligence when you're able to have a different viewpoint sometimes, or when you're able to shift your belief. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
it's a sign of intelligence that you're able to, okay, I see your perspective and I like it, and I want to do more research on that because I'm shifting my perspective. But people are so afraid of having their perspective shifted.
Hmm.
That's why sometimes you find them following a certain content creator, hating on them, only for later to say, oh man, I just didn't want to admit it to myself that you were right.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
So I think it's just a matter of not wanting to shift your perspective. Even if we look at our ancestral line, come on, there has to be some sort of movement before we even got here. Otherwise, we would be doing things the olden way and nothing would happen.
And
So, someone somewhere had to be brave enough to make certain changes happen. So, people should not be afraid of changes. Changes doesn't mean that you don't have a stand on what you say.
exactly.
Changes just mean accepting that life doesn't always have to be a certain way. And that's
Exactly.
okay too.
Yeah, and change isn't always a bad thing. Doing things differently or being different isn't always a bad thing either. And another thing that I wish is more people should understand that everyone's journey is different. Some people get married at an earlier age, whereas other people get married at a later stage in their lives, and there are others who don't get married at all. But are they wrong for not following some sort of societal or cultural norm? No, they're not. Their fate is something that's out of their control.
When are we just going to let everyone live the way that they're supposed to and find out what works for them? And when it comes to the age of marriage, what is late anyway? What is late?
Hmm.
Again, that's what society decides. Society decides after 30, oh, you're not in the market anymore. But that is the false, like, that is so false because I have seen women way above 30, right?
Hmm.
Marry much younger men.
Hmm.
Women with 6 kids still get married to men that desire a man that desires them, maybe even a rich man.
Hmm.
Women, there's no such thing as market. Like that is something that they want us to feel so fearful for. That's when people are gonna come to you, the auntie and the uncle. Oh, you're too old. You're too old. You're too old. And then when you're in a desperate situation, what do? You end up settling. You end up thinking there's something wrong with you as a freak.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. Like for me, I'm not like a woman who would say, yeah, I'm single and child free. I do like children,
Hmm.
but it's like if I don't get children in my later stage in life, it's okay. The first thing they'll ask you is something wrong with your womb? Is that why you're talking like this?
Hmm. Hmm. All right, Ayla, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Again, it was very needed, and I hope the rest of your day goes well. It's almost 6 p.m., I believe, in Mombasa. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I hope the rest of your day goes well. Thank you and take care.